All men must die. But not all god deaths are created equal. This list will count down the show's 10 most shocking deaths of Game of Thrones. For the sake of this list, shocking is a combination of surprising and gruesome, with some points for impact. So let's go. You know that you will regret your decision if you don't end up subscribing to The Majestic. Make the choice to join our notification squad. Viserys Targaryen. It's easy to forget about him now, but Viserys' death was one of the first times a seemingly major character died a gruesome death. Khal Drogo gave Viserys the golden crown he always wanted, burning him alive by pouring molten gold on his head, sending him out in a sort of Raiders of the Lost Ark style. Grit. Love is doomed in the Seven Kingdoms, so Grit seemed like a goner at some point. But to have her killed by that dirt-covered teen, Ali, just as she was having a cathartic moment with Jon Snow? That was a lot to take. The mountains, yes, we are putting Gregor Clegane's horse on this list. Just stick with us for a second here, okay? Animals are as bad as humans in the God universe, and since they are just innocent beasts, their suffering sometimes affects us more. Call it the Sarah McLachlan rule. Anyway, original Mountain's single chop decapitation of his horse after losing a joust to Larys Tyrell was one of the nastiest scenes of the first season. Ros. Here's one death we didn't actually see transpire, and thank the old gods and new for that. It would be hard to call Ros's hanging from the ceiling, crossbow to the heart murder Joffrey's most sadistic moment, but it's on the short list. Shae love affair was one of the few heartwarming storylines and got. Until, of course, Cersei got to Shae and convinced her to turn on Tyrion and implicate him in Joffrey's death. In terms of karma, she had it coming. But it was still extremely unsettling to see Tyrion Lannister, arguably the moral center of this universe lacking morals, strangle the former love of his life. Tywin Lannister. Now we get to the biggies. After Shae, Tyrion's killing spree ended with his father, the most powerful man in Westeros. The impact of his sudden death will likely swing the balance of power in the Seven Kingdoms. And like Grit's death in number 9, the act of a sudden projectile to the heart in the middle of an emotional conversation was a gasp moment. Oberyn Martell. Some of us are still having nightmares about this one. The eminently likable Red Viper stood little chance of living through his encounter with the Mountain. But did he really have to go out like that? Like that being, of course, his face completely squished into oblivion by whatever random mountain was on the show that season. King Joffrey Baratheon. Certainly the most fulfilling death on this list, in part because of how shocking it was. Joffrey's death by poison scores points for both surprise and disgust. The blood flowing from his nose, his purple face, gasping for air, those dead eyes. Catelyn Stark and Robb Stark. The Red Wedding. The defining moment of the show may not be number 1 on this list, but it remains one of the most memorable television scenes of our new century. The chaos of the massacre, starting with the moment Catelyn spotted Roose Bolton's armor-clad forearm and realized what was about to happen, then quickly escalating to Taliesa's violent stabbing, was presented masterfully. Roose Bolton's send-off line to Robb, "The Lannisters send their regards," was a classic, and Catelyn's murderous spasm of vengeance against Walder Frey's wife before her own throat was slit was as brutal as it gets, emotionally and physically. Did Ned Stark. Did Ned Stark's beheading have the same cultural impact as the Red Wedding? Certainly not. In its first season, GOT had yet to become a phenomenon, but this pivotal episode is arguably what made it one. Ned Stark was the protagonist of the show. He was the foundation on which everything was built. Watching him get paraded to the chopping block, you just assumed he would escape his predicament. But in the moments before Sir Iron Payne's sword came down, your realization sunk in. Holy. They're actually going to kill Ned Stark. His death set the standard for everything that would happen over the course of the show. If he wasn't safe, truly nobody was safe. Thanks for watching. If you enjoy this video, click the like button, leave a comment, and remember and click the subscribe and the bell to be notified about our next video.